How you doing, world? It's your boy Mo Better from Mo Better Published Productions LLC in connection with I Deserve a Deal. And today we're talking about Collective Minds LLC. The news flash is some very uh, important information, very staggering, that we as African Americans have $1.1 trillion in buying power. But the thing is, are we putting our money to good use? Now we get into the numbers of things. And so according to a recent study by the Nielsen Company, African Americans will have $1.1 trillion in collective buying powers by 2015, increasing to about $1.3 trillion by 2017, making us more relevant than ever as a consumer, making us more relevant than ever as people. But what are we doing with it? Now, we get inside the numbers of situations, and let's look at that, and we'll see this. It says that currently 43 million strong African American consumers have unique behaviors from the total market. For example, they're more aggressive consumers of media and they shop more frequently. Blacks watch more television, that's 37% more, have more shopping trips, that's 8 more, purchase more ethnic beauty and grooming products, 9 times more, and read more financial magazines, 28% more, and spend more than twice the time at personal hosted websites than any other group. African Americans make an average of 156 shopping trips per year, compared with 146 for the total market. Favoring small retail outlets, blacks shop more frequently at drugstores, convenience stores, and dollar stores. Buy beauty supply stores are also popular within the black community. Beauty supply stores are also popular within the black community, as they typically carry an abundance of ethnic hair and beauty aids reside that cater specifically to the unique needs of African American hair textures. Overall, health and beauty supply stores have an average household penetration of 46% among African Americans, and the average black household spends an average of $94 in this store channel each year, providing a significant opportunity to connect with black shoppers. While the numbers indicate that black folks are an important part of their buying public, companies spend just 3% of their advertising budgets marketing to black consumers. Now, that's something to think about. We're going to get into the numbers a little bit later, but out of the trillions that we spend, they only dedicate 3% of their spending to shop at us or to advertise toward us, but we still spend our money there. Can you see the psychological training and grooming that we have catered and fallen? I'm not going to even say victim, but I'll say prey to. Prey is different from a victim. Prey, we're hunted and we're caught. That's different from being a victim. According to Cheryl Pearson McNeil, the vice president at Nielsen, the black population is young, hip, and highly influential. Changed from when our moms and pops ran things, aunts and uncles, grandmothers and grandfathers. It's completely different. It was a different mindset. We are growing 64% faster than the general market, she explains. That's this young, hip crowd that's catered to more so than anybody. However, Noah King, a reporter for NPR's Marketplace, cautions companies against trying to reach black consumers without knowing our needs. If you want to market to those groups, then you should know what particular groups buys your stuff, says King. Blacks tend to spend more on electronics, utilities, groceries, and footwear. You hear that? We look great with our phone, tablet, and iPhone 27 and the pads and our Jordans, but we don't own property or our own businesses. We'll get into that later. So they spend a lot less on new cars, alcohol, entertainment, healthcare, and pensions. See that? Less on new cars off the lot, but we'll spend 10,000 on an old school and put 25,000 more in it. but don't own the apartment building you live in. Despite our collective buying power, statistical data reflects that much of that money is spent outside the black community and not with black owned businesses. Compare these numbers about dollar circulation reported by the NAACP. Currently, a dollar circulation in Asian communities. Currently, a dollar circulates in Asian communities for a month. In Jewish communities, excuse me. Currently, a dollar circulates in Asian communities for a month. In Jewish communities, approximately 20 days. In white communities, 17 days. How long does a dollar circulate in the black community? Well, 6 hours. 6 hours. Now, that's the money that's in your pocket that you got from your check. But 9 times out of 10, the majority of our check is actually sold and gone 4 days before we even receive the check. See, black American buying power is at $1.1 trillion, and yet only 2 cents of every dollar black spend in this country goes to the black-owned business. So 55% of African Americans are unbanked or underbanked, meaning they do not have a bank account or the appropriate bank account at all. This is Federal Deposit Corporation survey. About a quarter of all Hispanic, 24%, and black, 25%, households in 2009 had no assets other than a vehicle, compared with just 6% of white households. These percentages are little changed from 2005, and that's a Pew Research. The median amount black households reported saving on a monthly basis is $189. And I want you to think about the average black household. There's many of us in this household, and all we saving is $189, but we each own 5 or 6 pairs of Jordans at almost $200 a pair. It's a difference between spending and investing. Compared to, let me look at that number again. The median amount black household reported saving on a monthly basis is $189 compared to $367 a month among white households. This is the first time in a decade that African Americans household have reported savings, less than $200 per month. Ariel Investments 2010 Black Investors Survey. Blacks on the average are 6 times more likely than whites to buy Mercedes and the average luxury vehicle. Blacks on the average are 6 times more likely than whites to buy Mercedes, and the average income of black who buys a Jaguar is about 1/3 less than that of the white purchaser of that same luxury automobile. That's Earl versus Graves from Black Enterprises magazine. See, although blacks make up only 13% of the U.S. population, just 7% of small black businesses are owned by blacks. Access to capital, clientele, and other resources hinder many black folks from starting their businesses. Although blacks make up 13% of the U.S. population, just 7% of small businesses are owned by blacks. Why? Because we do not educate ourselves on how to do this. We have been trained and groomed to be good employees. And there's a difference between when you go to upper echelon schools in certain areas of the powers that be, as opposed to when we go to school. So when we go to school, we're taught to get a good education, even groomed by our parents, because this is what they have been groomed and misled to believe, that you go to school and you get a good education so you can get a good job. See, that upper echelon, I'm just telling you about their schools, guess they're taught? They're taught to get a good education so they can own and operate their own businesses. Big differences. This is the situation of the mindset that we have to break. At one point in time, remember all the gas stations and the stores were black owned? See, but then the situations of segregation ain't want us around. But then when they saw that we began to make as much as them, they began to try to buy us out. And by us seeing that, man, this is more money I ever seen, even though I own it, we don't look at the long term. We look at the right now. We sold out. And now everything in our communities are actually owned by somebody else, aside from those who are in our actual communities. We're going to look at the highlights from big spenders and small investors. Blacks have little to show for their hard-earned dollars. From that good education you got to be that good employee, what do we have? What do we own? African Americans consistently outpace the total market population in overall growth. In what? Smartphone ownerships, television viewing, and annual shopping trips, according to the new study. Resilient, receptive, and relevant. The African American Consumer 2013 report. That's what it comes from. On a collaborative effort by the Nielsen Company in New York and the National Newspaper Publishers Association. That's located in Northwest Washington, D.C. See, black buying power continues to increase, rising from its current $1.1 trillion level to a forecasted $1.3 trillion level by 2017. And this is like annually we spending this. Despite the strong economic outlook, blacks continue to spend most of their money outside of the black community, according to the Nielsen and NPA advertisers have repeatedly slighted the black media, spending only 3% or $2.24 billion of the $75 billion spent with all media last year. This is just last year that this was done. So out of the $75 billion, they only spend $2.24 billion on us in advertising and sending anything to us. But guess what? We're still caught in the mind frame of when we were slaves. Honest to goodness, this is my thought process that, when I get out of here, we were tricked into believing that things is what make us. Not saying that money doesn't make the world, but we were tricked into believing that things make us. So right now we harness and gravitate to things, which is why we make nowhere near the Jaguar that we go buy, that they don't even buy. They don't buy Cadillacs. They don't buy that stuff. And see, again, going from slavery, guess what we wanted? In believing that things made us who we are, we wanted the chariot that the master had. That's the buggy we wanted. We wanted the house that the master had. What the thing is to create your own, imagine your own, create your own blueprint, or get somebody from you who can help you do that, and then you redo it. I'm not saying this is a racial situation. I'm just saying what is and what needs to be done. You need to train or retrain your mind into where you really come from. Pyramids, silk roads, land of Ur, things of that nature. Each year, blacks spend more than $47 billion in Lincoln automobiles. Think about that. $3.7 billion on alcohol, $2.5 billion on Toyotas, $2 billion on athletic shoes, and $600 million each year on McDonald's and other fast foods, according to Target Market News Inc., a Chicago-based marketing research group. Now, the situation is, at one point in time, see, when my big mama, auntie, Aunt Dot, you know what I'm saying? Uncle Bob, them people who could cook for real when they was cooking home meals and we was at home all the time. But see, the home has been broken up to where this is what we do. We deal with fast foods and things of that nature. Guess what? Less money was spent on them, but the more we began to spend with them as trying to get Jordans and working 2 and 3 jobs, not even to actually take care of the kids, but to get things, we lost the value of home. And now that $2.24 billion out of a whole $75 billion is spent on us to shop where they want us to shop, because that's what we showed them we want. Something we need to change. Blacks also spend wildly to keep their appearances. The black hair and care cosmetics industry counts as $9 billion a year business. But while African Americans are spending the most, they are profiting the least, said officials from the Black-owned Beauty Supply Association in Palo Alto, California. Beauty product lines designed for African Americans were once 100% owned and operated by blacks. Today, other ethnic groups control more than 70% of their market, because what? We do not choose to go and steal. In the age of information, if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in the book. We will not read and understand what's needed in order to do what we need to do, to own and operate our own. Okay, we spending that much money. Imagine if you owned your own black-owned wig shop. Okay, you get to connect from the Chinese, you get it, or whoever has it. And now you own the wig shop that's in your neighborhood, but at the same time, guess what you do? Is your business up to par? Is your product up to par? You see what I'm saying? Are you up to code with the business codes of your area? You see, this is what we need to do. Learn these things and provide these things for ourselves. This is what we need to do. That's why somebody else can come in and own and operate everything it is that we do. The current home ownership rate reveals that 73.5% of whites own homes, while approximately 43.9% of blacks are homeowners, according to the Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies, stated. And that's the studies, the state of the nation report for 2013. And this is something else. 6% of blacks have less than $50,000 saved in company retirement plans, and only 23% have more than $100,000. The Loyalty Blacks Have Their Church also has proven costly, said officials at Faith Communities Today, a nonprofit based in Hartford, Connecticut. A 2013 study revealed that black churches have collected more than, listen to this, 420 billion in tithes and donations nationwide since 1980, an average of $252 million a week. See, what people fail to see and understand is that the church pastors aren't waiting for miracles to fund their lifestyles. They don't have to pray day in and day out to make their ends meet, said Northwest resident and author Byron Woolard. They are getting rich off God, not from God, he said. Woolard, whose books include the 2011 Pawn Queen, noted the money spent tithing could, listen to this, buy as many as 93,333 homes valued at $150,000 per home, pay for tuition for up to $15,000 a year for 933,333 college students, and feed every homeless American for a year. That's every day for a year. It's the best hustle on the planet. If you don't get it here on earth, you'll get it when you die and go to heaven, Woolard said. Because that's what they teach. And when you look at it, it says this. And it just so happens that not one person in the history of this planet has died, went to heaven, came back to tell everyone that what they teach is true. Very interesting, right? So I'm not saying don't believe in God. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is pay attention to what you're doing. Our whole thought process is a trained process that we must retrain ourselves to understand that, guess what? If you control your money, where would you be? The whole process of Collective Minds LLC, imagine if we owned and operated or was able to direct where we wanted. As a collective, I'm not talking about Maurice Marbury. I'm not talking about Mo Better Me. I'm talking about as a collective, if we as a collective agreed to only deal with 10% of $1.3 trillion a year. That's the goal. That's the aim. Are you collective in minds with me? Let's think about this. Our whole thing again is to retrain our thought process. We don't want a good education to become a good employee. If that's that's cool. But guess what we really want to do? We want to own and operate. Guess what? You're still an employee if you own your own business. You're just an employee for yourself by making sure the books and the accounting is done. Think about it that way. All right?